is that once we finish with the country presentations, we shall go into general discussions. So any issues or points that you would like to raise to any of the presenters or a presentation from one of the countries or the partners, that would be the opportunity to make that presentation. Again, to the rapporteurs, issues that could be included in the recommendations, please highlight them when you are doing your reports. This is important because when we finish the technical presentations by Thursday, we shall have a very short time to do the recommendations that have to be adopted by the end of the day on Friday. I encourage those who are going to be speaking to keep to time, and more so because today we expect there is going to be an interruption. There is going to be the formal opening of the conference, and so if we can buy as much time during our presentations, that would help us in managing time up to the end of the day. Without any more time, I take the session back to the moderator and the rapporteur to proceed. Thank you and enjoy the day.
Good morning. So, as already addressed by the chairman, we go straight to these presentations. On our list, we have E. Ngwetum of Central African Republic. If you are here, please get onto the stage. And I hope the ICT will load his presentation. Thank you. Do we have E. Ngwetum? If not, we move on to Zanele Mili Vilakati. Zanele Mili Vilakati. Do we have? Wow. E. Ngwetum of Central African Republic. Do we have you here? Then we move to Guinea, Zanele Mili Vilakati. Do we have Zanele here? It's okay. Kamara, okay, Kamara. Do we have, there's no name here. Okay, I'll keep mentioning the names. If you are here, you get out, yeah, the country, okay. Guinea, Central African Republic, it is Guinea. Okay, please have a stage. And ICT, can you load his presentation? Oh, Guinea, but the name is not there. Excuse me? What's the name? The name. The name. We didn't have your name. We don't have your name here.
Kuruma Ansuma. Kuruma Ansuma. Kuruma Ansuma.
Ansuma.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure that is. So we have on stage Dr. Kuruma Ansuma from Guinea to give us a presentation of a country report. Do you have a speaker here? No? Please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, de m'avoir donné la parole. Au nom de Monsieur le coordinateur national de MTN Guinée, je vais faire la présentation de la Guinée en français. En effet, la Guinée, sur le littoral maritime, constitue la zone endémique qui faisant de ce pays le plus touché de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Et ce littoral est recouvert de mangroves qui constituent une écologie où cohabitent le vecteur et l'hôte qui y mènent des activités, notamment l'agriculture, la pêche, l'extraction de sel et la coupe de bois. Conformément à cette particularité, la Guinée a adopté des stratégies de lutte qui reposent sur deux volets. Le premier volet, c'est la lutte médicale qui se passe par le dépistage, le traitement, conformément au protocole établi. Et le deuxième volet, c'est la lutte antivectorielle qui a été instaurée plus tard et qui repose sur le déploiement des écrans réduits imprégnés d'insecticides. Toutes ces activités sont soutenues par une grande sensibilisation de la population pour mener à bon port ces activités de lutte. Par rapport à la lutte médicale, anciennement, ça se reposait sur le screening de masse où on dépistait les gens à travers le CAT. Et les cas confirmés étaient confirmés parasitologiquement. Et cette méthode donnait de moins en moins de résultats parce que la population la communauté ne participait pas beaucoup. Ce qui a amené le programme à réadapter son programme de lutte. Et le deuxième aussi méthode utilisée, c'est le dépistage passif. Ce dépistage passif, 105 structures de santé ont été formées et le programme a déposé de TDR. Donc, il dépiste les patients positifs qui sont ramenés dans le centre pour une confirmation parasitologique. La lutte antivectorielle a été d'abord testée dans l'un des sites les plus actifs. Je parle de BOFA, où BOFA est subdivisé en deux zones. Il y a BOFA Est et BOFA Ouest. Donc, au niveau de BOFA Est, les écrans ont été déployés. Et ça, c'était en 2012. Donc, on a montré quand même une baisse importante de la densité glossinienne, et qui était paradoxalement appréciée par les patients par la réduction du nombre de nuisances de ces mousses séchées. OK. Donc, après 2012, 2013, il y a une évaluation sur le terrain qui a montré quand même des résultats encourageants, où la lutte antivectorielle a été menée, où nous avons constaté une réduction drastique de la prévalence, contrairement à BOFA Ouest, où l'activité n'a pas été menée. Au contraire, nous avons observé une augmentation du nombre de cas. Mais malheureusement pour la Guinée, la Guinée a été secouée par une épidémie qui n'était pas attendue, qui était l'Ebola, qui a frappé le pays pendant 2 ans et qui avait annihilé presque tous les efforts menés dans la lutte contre cette maladie. Mais la lutte antivectorielle a continué. Et en 2016, qui était la fin de cette épidémie, nous avons évalué sur le terrain, là où l'activité a été menée, aucun cas n'a été dépisté. Contrairement à l'autre côté, nous avons observé une flambée de la maladie. Ce qui a amené le programme à réadapter encore son programme parce qu'on se posait la question quelle était l'efficacité de la lutte antivectorielle dans la lutte contre cette maladie. Et ce qui a amené le programme à généraliser dans tous les 3 foyers. Donc, avec l'introduction de la lutte antivectorielle et l'impact de l'Ebola sur les activités, ce qui a permis au programme de penser ses stratégies en généralisant cette lutte et ce qui a permis à la Guinée aujourd'hui d'avoir une réduction drastique du nombre de cas, comme le montre la courbe. Donc, il y a une autre pandémie qui avait secoué le monde et la Guinée n'était pas épargnée, c'était la Covid-19. Mais les leçons tirées de l'Ebola a permis à la Guinée de réadapter sa stratégie et ce qui a fait que la Covid-19 n'a pas impacté de façon significative les activités du programme. Donc, mais certaines stratégies ont été revues, telles que le screening de masse a été annulé au profit de porte-à-porte. Donc, pour essayer de fidéliser la communauté par rapport aux activités, pendant cette pandémie, le programme a appuyé la communauté en distribuant des kits et en organisant des ateliers de sensibilisation et des émissions interactives. La stratégie évolue au fil du temps. Et ce dépistage par porte à porte aussi a été, une nouvelle stratégie a été adoptée. C'était le dépistage ciblé. Aussi été appuyé, accompagné par le suivi spécialisé des patients. Étant donné l'histoire du traitement de THA, où pour mettre quelqu'un sur le traitement, il fallait systématiquement ponctionner, hospitaliser obligatoirement le patient pour le suivi. Avec la baisse de la prévalence, les stratégies aussi du traitement sont en train d'être changées. Nous avons des médicaments oraux aujourd'hui qui permettent d'approcher le traitement aux patients. Et avec les médicaments futurs, je pense que ça viendra encore reconforter le programme dans l'élimination de cette affection. Avec toutes ces expériences du passé, l'introduction, généralisation de la lutte antivectorielle, l'impact des épidémies, et la généralisation de la porte-à-porte ciblé, le suivi spatialisé, ce qui permet à la Guinée aujourd'hui d'être candidat, postuler pour la validation de l'élimination de cette maladie comme étant un problème de santé publique. Pour ce faire, depuis 2018, la Guinée est sous la barre de 1 cas pour 10 000 habitants. Je pense que c'est l'objectif visé par l'OMS. Et il continue à mener des stratégies, parce qu'on connaît l'histoire de 1990, la réémergence de cette maladie. Donc, pour essayer d'avoir une transmission, zéro transmission à l'horizon 2030, la Guinée est en train de mener des activités, notamment la lutte transfrontalière, des essais cliniques sur le nouveau médicament et la recherche sur les réservoirs cachés, tels que l'étude de la présence de trypanosome sur la peau et les recherches animales. Donc, je vous remercie vraiment de votre aimable attention.
Another round of applause for our speaker, Kuruma Asuma. Well done. Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we call on, we have somebody online who will come on, Togolai Moilu from Tanzania. Can we get the presentation uploaded, or he will show it on screen for us? Are we through with him online? Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Hello? You are online.
Yeah, my name is Nikolai. I'm presenting the current situation of human African trypanosomiasis in Tanzania. I'm working with the Tabora station, which has been founded in 1922 as a center which carry out and coordinate and document for research and control of human trypanosomiasis in Tanzania. Where after independence in 1961, the station was being under the East African Medical Research Council, which was established in 1957. And in 1962-63, the sleeping sickness unit was taken by the Ministry health. And during that period, the Tabora area was experiencing the outbreak of human trypanosomiasis, and therefore the ministry decided to keep Tabora as sleeping sickness coordinating unit and maintain treatment and main treatment center of the country. Following the collapse of the East African community in 1977, the unit became non-functional, but in 1979, where the National Institute for Medical Research was formed, the sleeping sickness service unit in Tabora was taken over by the institute and continued to carry out the research and documentation of human African trypanosomiasis. Basically, in Tanzania, we have the Arahat, which occur in two forms, the hemolytic form and the meningoencephalitis form. And the clinical signs, we all know that the clinical signs of heart are non-specific, and most of them do resemble those of the malaria. In Tanzania, we are still having the discrete endemic foci, which are mainly occur on northern parts, where is Arusha, Manyara, and Simiyu, and the eastern part, the Tabora, Kigoma, and Katavi region. Normally, we get the drug through the donation from the WHO, and the center has been conducting the training to the health workers, but with respect to the human African trypanosomiasis. And the last training was done in 2018 under the support of WHO. Challenges, we have challenges in heart management, as we all know that the disease occurs in remote areas, having poor infrastructure and difficult to reach, and there is a need of having 4x4 vehicle to reach the areas, of which now we have the 4x4 vehicle, which is not working well. But we have also the challenges in diagnosis, of which there is a lack of laboratory equipment, lack of consumable, but inadequate skilled staffs, and most of them have been retired. But we have the health workers with a little knowledge on heart. Here, the graph shows the trend of heart from 2007 to 2022, but in 2021, we started to have few cases. As you observe in this heart trend from 2011 to 2022, where we hardly get 1 or 2 cases. This table shows where the cases are coming from. As I said, we have the area like Tabora, Rambo, and also we have the area like Arusha and Karatu, but all the cases has been dropped to 1 or 2 cases. The way forward is to ensure availability of drugs, of which we know the WHO has been supporting us throughout all those years. But also we need to have a routine refresher training for the health workers. And now we are planning to have another training on these health workers. But now we think of including the module for the surveillance. As we go toward the elimination, we know that there is a need to strengthen surveillance. But also, way forward is to equip the health facilities at the foci, endemic foci, with consumables and equipment. And lastly, to promote the heart awareness to the community in order to facilitate early case diagnosis. We also do the annual supervisory visit to the non-endemic foci to ensure monitoring of heart toward the elimination as public health problem by 2030. And the last supervisory visit has been done in 2021, although the small part of it was completed in 2023. Another way forward is to integrate the heart control with other vector control programs. Currently, at the Ministry of Health, we already have a guideline and SOPs for integrated vector management in place. We also need to advocate the use of microscope for blood sliding examination for all patients presenting with fever in routine malaria checkup in heart endemic areas. As I said earlier, that most of the clinical signs of heart do resemble that of malaria. But now, due to the presence of MRIDTs, most of the health facilities do not use the microscope during the examination, parasitic examination. So we need to advocate the use of microscope, especially in those areas which are endemic for human African trichinosis. And the last one is to continue updating the health facility with capacity to diagnose HAT and active heart foresight mapping. Asanteni kwa kunisikiliza. Thank you for listening. I would like to acknowledge the WHO for the support which has been given day to day. Thank you.
We thank you very much, Dr. Togolai Mbiu of Tanzania. It was a wonderful presentation. Now let's have Dr. Akol from Cameroon. If you are here, come up and give us a presentation on elimination of human African trypanosomes in Cameroon.
Bonjour à tout le monde. That's not my first slide, I guess. Okay, good morning. I just want to be sure that this is working. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm called Acho, and I work with the Cameroon government, Ministry of Public Health, as the Permanent Secretary for the National Heart Control Program. And I'm going to present to you the lessons we've learned over the decade and the challenges we've faced as we strive to eliminate heart in Cameroon. And I have this 5-item slide or outline for you. And this is just to show you where Cameroon is situated, somewhere around the center of Africa. And it's kind of a small Africa within Africa, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And we have about 27 million people, and we still have the same pyramidal system of health in Cameroon. And so heart remains a challenge or a debilitating disease in Cameroon, and we still have 3 of the 10 regions that kind of down south where we still detect cases. And our interest was kind of looking at what, based on the WHO criteria of having an optimal surveillance system, especially passive. What happened? Oh, thank you. And looking at whether we've whether we've met the criteria for less than 1 case in all of the health districts in Cameroon where we have for science. So we sought to kind of describe the challenges over the decade and the lessons we've learned. And I wanted to show you, contrary to, or maybe not contrary, to complement what my brother showed yesterday, you will see that up north, Cameroon, you have all the facets in Cameroon. I mean, from up north where you have the Sahelian geographical climate, passing through the savanna and down south with the equatorial rainforest. And you'll see that we still have a hard foci down south, and where in red you will see the active foci, and in green the kind of silent foci and the historical foci. This is important because we don't only concentrate in doing or performing activities in the active foci, but once in a while we go down into the silent foci to see what's going on, to look at the risk of resurgence and all of that. Not working, I guess. Oh, yeah. So this was just the methodology we use. We just looked at our database and looked at our yearly reports that we do, and we based our review on the hard control and emulation strategy, the 4 items: integrated passive surveillance. We are looking at active case detection, case management, and of course those and vector control. And we looked at our database and we used Microsoft Excel to look at it. And we discovered that over the decade, from 2013 to 2022, the National Hard Control Program had planned about 90 activities. Almost 50% of those activities was kind of an active screening, and they had this on-site supervision to So there we go, and we discovered that over the decade, the National Art Program had presented about 43% of plant activities, among which we had more of active case finding or screening campaigns, organizational screening campaigns, and vector control was kind of implemented in one of the foci just from around 2019 to 2021, as we can see on the slide. And I just wanted to show you the trend of our screening activities, or the cases we've notified over the years, and you will see a boom in 2019, and kind of almost just little cases in 2020, because that was when we had the COVID in Cameroon 2020. But in 2019, we had this boom of cases. We went to Campo twice because we went there the first time, and even after that we kept receiving cases, and so went the second time, so we had 20 cases. But in 2020, we did not organize a active screening because of the COVID pandemic. So the 2 cases were kind of notified passively. And this is just to show you where the majority of cases come from, and that's from Campo. And Campo is somewhere around down south, just border to Equatorial Guinea, where it's separated by River Thames. One river, you have Rio Campo the other way and Campo this way. That's where we have about 81% of cases notified. And this is just to show you that, and among those cases, we have almost 100 of our cases treated, and we can know the outcome of the cases. We had one case where the person refused treatment and ran away from the community, and we could not trace him, but we caught up with him the year that followed, 2022. And this is also to show you that most of our cases detected through active screening, and this is kind of pathetic because we are getting towards elimination, and we expect our passive screening to be active, but most of our cases are gotten through active case finding. So the teams go down to the field and they're able to pick up cases. So 74% of the cases over the years have been picked up through active case finding. And here I just wanted to show you some two tables kind of comparing them. If we look at the average population coverage, over the past decade, we've been around 63 or 62%. Not really meeting the target of 80% of the population at risk covered. And averagely, we've had 6 cases per 10,000 of the population at risk that we've kind of looked. But if we look down here, if we look at the population per district, because the foci are just rural areas within the district, then we'll see that we have attained elimination as per the first criteria, where we have less than one case for 10,000 inhabitants within the health district within 5 years. And what are some of the challenges we've had? The very first is that more and more, we have this population hesitancy where they don't want to come for screening. And more, it became even worse with the COVID, where because of the information, we know everything, the poor communication and all of what went around that, people ran away. And there is this lack of dedicated funding to carry out and maintain activities like vector control. That was a plus for us in Campo. And unfortunately, that ended, and we are kind of, I'm afraid, kind of going backwards. And passive surveillance is still to be desired, still to be optimal, despite our efforts. We have insufficient financial and material support from the government because of other competing priorities, which we know, and no dedicated vehicle. You can see the pictures I just gave you, how we struggle sometimes to go down to the field with our personal vehicles. And we suffer. And then sometimes even when we rent a vehicle, like the Prado down, we still get stuck, like when we're receiving our WHO folk to come and support us. What are the lessons we've learned over the years? We learned that collaboration between the National Heart Control Program and research institutions and other, provided an opportunity for us to kind of explore the animal reservoir, kind of implement vector control, and active case detection and treatment without vector control slows down heart elimination and progress. And we've also learned that One Health approach is mandatory for elimination. We need to come together, like what my brother Dr. Abba was saying yesterday. There needs to be this collaboration between animal, environmental, and human. We need to come together, and then joint efforts from neighboring or endemic countries is a great opportunity to eliminate heart. And WHO has been kind of striving. We need to collaborate between Campo, Rio Campo, that's Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon folks, but also in Yokaduma, that is in Boy, that is closer to Nola in Central Africa. We need to come together and kind of work together for that. And then we need consistent financial and material support for had to be meant to be for the fight to be to continue, and then on-site supportive supervision, especially from our technical experts from WHO, from other kind of a boost. We see an image there of where our Afro lead came around, and it was a boost to the team, and we saw how he gave us some tools and kind of gave us an opportunity to improve in what we're doing. And to conclude, heart control activities are still suboptimal. We look at the percentage of planned activities and those implemented with low implementation of those activities. We have this high staff turnover in Hertfordshire, and I'm sure it's kind of the same thing in other countries. Limiting and then limited financial and material resources and little engagement from the government because of competing priorities. I already said that. Collaboration, partnership with research institutions has been an opportunity to progress towards elimination, and mobilizing more funding and strengthening collaboration between heart, the environment, the animal will help us to move faster and even get to 0 cases eliminated in Cameroon. I just want to appreciate all of these ones, and I like this picture because it kind of brings kind of gives us a picture of the team working. We have the institutions, the CREED, Center for Research in Infectious Diseases. We have the universities around. We have the community. And, of course, we have WHO, who have been really striving and helping us to move together. Thank you very much.
That was a wonderful presentation. One more applause for Mr. Akor. I hope I'm mentioning the name right. Yeah. Nacho, okay, sorry. Now we expect Dr. Pedro Ndongo Asomo of Guinea to be on stage. Do we have Equatorial Guinea specifically? Do we have any PowerPoint presentation for this fellow? I don't think he's around. Then we can move ahead and call on Charles W. Wamboga of Uganda. Charles W. Wamboga of Uganda. Are you coming up? Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. Can I have my slides, please? So I'm going to give or share with you our experience as a country regarding sleeping sickness elimination, something that we've just gone through as a country. That's my name, Charles Wamboga. I work for the Ministry of Health, and I head the National Sleeping Sickness Control Program in Uganda. Next slide, please. I don't have the... Okay. How do I move it? Okay, so as way of introduction, Uganda has two forms of sleeping sickness, and we happen to be the only country that has both rhodesiensis and the Gambian forms of sleeping sickness. But my presentation today is going to focus on the Gambiensis, the chronic form of sleeping sickness. And out of 146 districts in the country, sleeping sickness is endemic in 44 districts. And 10 of those are from the Gambiensis foci or region, and the remaining districts are from the rhodesiensis focus. The Gambiensis type of sleeping sickness has been a public health burden in the West Nile region for several decades, characterized by outbreaks putting at risk over 2 million people in 10 foci, and of course causing fatality as well. And this foci is closely related to South Sudan. And the 10 foci are listed over there. So I would like to share with you the trend of Gambiensis sleeping sickness cases over the last 5 decades. You will all appreciate that in the 70s, we had a lot of instability, and most of our data for sleeping sickness was not captured because of what was happening in the country at that time. Now, when you go to the second decade, in the 80s, there are 2 scenarios here. One, the instability forced some of our people to go into our neighboring country in the first 3 or 4 years in the 80s. Within the same 80s, there was restoration of peace in the country, and the same population came back into the region. And of course, they went to a country that was endemic for sleeping sickness. So when they came back, and at the same time, we also had restoration of peace. And when there was restoration of peace, the health system interventions were put back right, and we had a lot of support from government and international organizations, and we had surveillance activities, and that's why you see a spike in the number of cases detected through the 80s, late 80s, up to the 90s, and we had a peak in the mid-90s, around 1993, 1994. However, I want you to take note that in the 2000s, we started having a decline of Gambiensis form of cases that were reported from the 2000s down, and you can see that after 2010, the reduction has been sustained up to now. I would like now to bring out what has happened in the 2010 to 2020. So we've had a sustained reduction of cases from 23 cases in 2012 to almost to actually 0 cases in 2021 and 2022. So you look at this decade, and this has been a decade of sustained reduction of cases, of Gambians cases. So I would like to put this in a pictorial form for you to see on the graph that we came up with 2 graphs for comparison, and one of them we are looking at all the cases that were seen between 2000 and 2009, and the Gambian's form of sleeping sickness is in this foci, which extends in South Sudan. For now, I don't want to say anything. Form of sleeping sickness, which is here in blue, but I'll make a recommendation or a conclusion. I'll make a remark in my conclusion. Now you can see that in 2016-2020, the dots that were very heavy here are very light here. And this can be collaborated with the graph that I shared with you previously. So, what happened? We looked through our data. We reviewed data that we had been capturing in the 2014-2018 period, and it indicated that we were on track to achieve the threshold of elimination of Gambian's form of sleeping sickness as a public health problem, which was defined as fewer than 1 new case per 10,000 population at risk per year. So using guidelines that were provided from World Health Organization, we developed a dossier, and of course with support of a consultant and technical support from other ministries, departments, and agencies of government. We did a desk review, we carried out field visits, we held meetings, we held workshops to come up with a document that was giving us the evidence that Uganda had reached the milestone for eliminating Gambians' form of sleeping sickness as a public health problem. And the dossier was submitted, reviewed, and we got a notification from WHO that on 27th April 2022, we had been validated as having eliminated the Gambian's form of sleeping sickness as a public health problem. And we had the official celebrations of this event on the 21st of September 2022. I'm going to share with you shortly the picture of that event. Now, we realized that planning and resource mobilization is key from government and its partners for you to get this milestone. We carried out, of course, case detection, which has been sustained, and case management, vector control, community sensitization and mobilization, supervision, coordination and monitoring, and cross with and collaboration with our counterparts in South Sudan. And we engaged other sectors like MAIF and others. MAIF is Ministry of Animal Industry and Fisheries. So, what did government and partners bring on table? They brought on table finances, their technical expertise, experience, supplies, infrastructure, human resources, medicines from WHO, mass awareness materials, local capacity building, international exchange and support, lobbying advocacy, research, and the political will, which is very important. As I'm going to share with you, some of the issues that are related to HAT are related to insecurity. So, what are our experiences or learnings? The advances that we have realized, the new tools towards Gambian sleeping sickness that have been developed over the years have been remarkable and have made the elimination of the disease possible. For us, we've had the tiny targets, we've had the rapid diagnostic tools coming into place in addition to other tools that are in place. And for this strategy to make more meaningful, now that we have reached this milestone, this strategy has to be adopted and integrated within the existing surveillance system so that we monitor what is happening and only react when we detect cases to avoid reemergence of the disease in disparate or in disproportionate proportions. Our other experience is vector control has had an important added value to control transmission of the disease. Initially, our focus was on human screening. But now you've heard, and I've also heard our counterparts, I think the previous presenter was talking about the lack of vector control. At least for us, we've had the chance to have a vector control as one of the important control strategies. Population movements have a key influence. When people move between borders or from one area to another, it's likely to determine what happens in the controlling or eliminating this disease. And lastly, the control of sleeping sickness in the refugee population for us is needed because we shall be knowing what is happening in our local community, but at the same time, we can offer information about the disease to our counterparts in South Sudan. For example, we looked at the data, and between 2000 and 2019, 407 cases were cases from South Sudan that were diagnosed and treated in Uganda. At the same time, 175 Ugandans were treated in South Sudan. So this cross-border collaboration is very, very important. And I'm going to illustrate this in the next slide. 2014, 2019, I just picked on this because for illustration purposes, we diagnosed cases here, but when we looked back, these cases were coming from these areas in South Sudan. So we shared this information with our colleagues, and it is important to share with them so that they can react or they can respond. So in the spirit of elimination, this is very, very important. In conclusion, the Ministry of Health recognizes contributions made by the various stakeholders over the years for us to achieve elimination of Gambians' form of sleeping sickness, and it is set to sustain the success to us so as to attain the elimination of transmission target for 2030. Ministry of Health remains committed to eliminate the acute form of sleeping sickness, which is a zoonotic disease affecting our regions in the southeastern region, in the eastern and the central parts of the country. As I said, we have two forms of sleeping sickness. One has been eliminated as a public health problem. The others, we are saying, Ministry of Health is making its commitment to that. And then the ministry would like to acknowledge support from World Health Organization, the international NGOs, MSF, LSTM, FIND, and others that have contributed, that have enabled the country to attain this very important milestone. And of course, development of field tools for post-validation surveillance is needed for us to sustain these gains. I would like to acknowledge the support of the various organizations listed here and all stakeholders, including patients and their families, the community leaders, and all others that have contributed to this milestone for us as Minister of Health. Yeah, I said I'm going to share with you one of the pictures that we had during our celebrations. Some of the people in this room attended this event. It was a big event for us as the country, and was the main celebrant there was the Honorable Minister of Health and the others that are here represented or they may not be here represented. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much. One more applause for Dr. Obangu. Then we call on, if you take note, there's a change in the last presentation for 1.22. We are bringing in Dr. Alain Mpanya of DRC to give us country report. You're welcome. So as we wait for the slide to be posted, I would like to draw your attention. This will be the last, oh, you are on. But this will be the last presentation for this session. Thank you very much.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, pour la parole. Nous allons vous présenter les rapports pays pour la République démocratique du Congo. Je fais cette présentation au nom du directeur du programme, Dr Miaka, qui est empêché. Alors, la République démocratique du Congo, c'est un grand pays au centre de l'Afrique, dont la population totale est estimée à plus de 85 millions. Et selon les enquêtes démographiques et sanitaires, plus de 58% de cette population vit dans les zones rurales. Et 44% de la population est à risque, selon l'évaluation de l'OMS en 2018. Quand on regarde la RDC, le contrôle de la maladie est organisé par un programme vertical qui est structuré à 3 niveaux. Le niveau central, qui est normatif et qui mobilise les ressources. Le niveau intermédiaire, qui est le niveau de coordination, qui est semi-opérationnel, qui traduit les stratégies de lutte, en fait, les normes en stratégie de lutte et appuie aux structures périphériques qui organisent la lutte. Alors, au niveau périphérique, nous avons actuellement 27 équipes mobiles qui organisent le dépistage de masse et 18 mini-équipes mobiles qui font le dépistage à domicile. Et à côté de ça, il y a plusieurs centres qui organisent le dépistage passif. Alors, le pays est organisé en 11 coordinations. Au fait, c'est 11 zones d'intervention qui sont coordonnées par 11 coordinations provinciales. Alors, pour mieux situer les données qu'on va vous présenter actuellement, j'aimerais faire un pas en arrière dans l'histoire de la lutte contre la maladie du sommeil en RDC. Quand on regarde au XXe siècle, le pays a connu ce que je peux appeler entre guillemets 2 grandes épidémies. Celui qui a commencé vers les années 1900, qui a atteint le pic vers les années 1930, grâce aux efforts à l'époque coloniale, il y a beaucoup de grandes équipes endémiques et ils ont pu réduire cette endémie pour arriver vers les années 60 à un niveau très bas où il fallait examiner au moins 10 000 personnes pour trouver moins de 1 cas. C'était le niveau qu'on a considéré comme niveau de contrôle de la maladie. Après l'indépendance, le jeune État a fait face à plusieurs guerres de sécession et aussi la lutte contre la THA n'était pas prioritaire à côté des autres priorités que le jeune État avait. Ainsi, il y avait relâchement de la lutte et le nombre de cas ont repris encore pour atteindre vers les années 98 un autre sommet comme celui des années 30, où il fallait, par an, on trouvait plus de 27 000 nouveaux cas par an en 1998. Et c'est l'épidémie que le pays est en train de contrôler jusqu'au maintenant. Donc, les données qu'on va vous présenter, il faut les situer dans ces continuums. Please. Alors, ce tableau nous montre l'évolution du nombre de cas dans les zones d'intervention. Nous avons dit qu'il y en a 11 qu'on appelle coordination. Entre 2017 et juillet 2023, comment le nombre de cas évolue. Si on regarde au niveau national dans le pays, en 2017, on avait 1100 nouveaux cas, comparé à 1998 où on avait plus de 27 000 nouveaux cas par an. Et en 2022, on est arrivé autour de 516 nouveaux cas. Il est clair que le nombre de cas diminue, mais quand on regarde la phase entre 1998 et 2017, il y a je peux appeler une chute brusque. Mais à partir de 2017 jusqu'à aujourd'hui, la diminution est réelle, mais elle est beaucoup plus lente. Alors ça, c'est de manière générale si au niveau du pays, le nombre de cas diminue. Mais dans les zones d'intervention, cette diminution ne se fait pas sentir de la même manière. Il y a des coordinations où le nombre de cas diminue, comme par exemple celui du Bandundu Sud, mais ça reste toujours très préoccupant parce que le nombre de cas sont toujours élevés. En 2017, on est à 318 nouveaux cas et en 2022, nous sommes à 178. Ça diminue, mais ça reste toujours plus haut. On peut citer aussi l'exemple du Kasaï occidental où le nombre de cas sont aussi très élevés et restent élevés. Par rapport à ces provinces où les cas sont élevés, il y a aussi d'autres coordinations ou d'autres zones d'intervention où le nombre de cas diminue sensiblement, comme le cas de la coordination de l'Équateur Sud, où on est presque dans une phase d'élimination, et la coordination du Congo central. Et entre les deux, on a les autres coordinations qui naviguent entre les deux. Dia, s'il vous plaît. Alors, au niveau du pays, si on regarde entre 2017 et 2022, la population totale examinée par le programme national tourne autour de plus de 2 millions, mais avec un pic en 2019 où on est arrivé à 3 millions, à plus de 3 millions, tout simplement parce qu'on avait renforcé des équipes dans la coordination du Bandundu qui est le plus endémique. Et quand on regarde le taux d'infection en dépistage actif pour 10 000 personnes examinées, au niveau du pays, ça varie entre 1,1 à 2,4 pour 10 000 habitants. Ça fait presque 11 personnes pour 100 000 habitants. Nous sommes encore un peu plus haut du cible envisagé. Dia, s'il vous plaît. Cette carte nous montre... oh là, on peut rentrer, on peut retourner un peu? Non, on recule, ouais. Cette carte nous montre les zones de santé endémiques. Les zones qui sont coloriées, c'est les zones de santé endémiques sur 5 ans, donc entre 2018 et 2022. Et dans le temps, presque une bonne partie qui est en blanc était coloriée aussi. Ça voudra dire vraiment que l'évolution vers l'élimination dans les zones d'intervention, ça se fait sentir. Actuellement, on compte une centaine de zones de santé endémiques. Si on regarde, il y a 10 ans, le pays compte autour de 514 zones de santé, dont plus de la moitié étaient endémiques. Je peux dire plus de 250 zones de santé étaient endémiques, mais actuellement, on compte autour de 100. Dia, s'il vous plaît. Alors, ces graphiques montrent l'évolution du nombre de cas entre 2012 et 2022 et aussi l'évolution de la population examinée. Quand on regarde la descente de cas, le bâtonnet en rouge, entre 2012 et 2017, on voit vraiment une chute. Mais à partir de 2018, ou je peux dire même les 3 dernières années, entre 2020 et 2022, le nombre de cas semble stationner autour de 500 nouveaux cas. Ça montre qu'avant, il y avait beaucoup de cas et c'était facile d'identifier les cas. Maintenant qu'on a réduit sensiblement les cas deviennent très rares. Ça demande beaucoup d'efforts aux équipes de parcourir des distances, d'aller chercher dans les coins très reculés pour trouver les derniers cas. Et ça demande beaucoup d'efforts. S'il vous plaît. Alors, pour un peu traduire ce que je viens de dire, on présente les zones de santé en 2017 et les zones de santé endémiques en 2022. Quand vous regardez les deux cartes, en 2017, la couleur rouge est beaucoup plus foncée et il y a beaucoup de zones de santé, mais quand on descend vers 2022, le nombre de zones de santé endémiques sont en train de se réduire. Mais on est très content parce qu'on est en train de contrôler la maladie en RDC. Mais on ne peut pas être tranquille parce qu'à côté de ces zones de santé qui sont en rouge, il y a quand même des zones de santé en blanc. C'est des zones de santé qui ont déclaré des cas il y a longtemps et qui sont restées silencieuses. Et le pays réfléchit comment organiser une surveillance dans ces zones de santé restées silencieuses pendant longtemps avant de pouvoir documenter cette évolution vers l'élimination de la maladie. Dia, s'il vous plaît. Alors, avant de terminer, je voulais projeter ces graphiques où on a 2 courbes. En rouge, c'est la République démocratique du Congo et en vert, c'est tous les pays, disons à l'échelle Afrique. Et c'est l'évolution du nombre de cas entre 1990 et 2020. Quand on regarde bien les 2 courbes, on a tendance, on peut même dire que ça se superpose. Quand la courbe en rouge monte, la courbe en verte monte aussi. Quand en rouge descend, l'autre descend. En fait, la RDC imprime la variation de la courbe africaine. Qu'est-ce que je vais dire ici? C'est que le problème de la THA, du moins pour la THA gambiense, si on voudrait avoir l'impact sur l'élimination de cette maladie en Afrique, on devra se concentrer sur la RDC. Et on résoudra les problèmes à plus de 60% en Afrique. Dia, s'il vous plaît. Alors, pour conclure, de manière générale, le nombre de cas diminue en République démocratique du Congo dans les zones d'intervention, mais il y a encore des zones grises où le pays doit réfléchir sur le système de surveillance avant d'être tranquille. Mais ces succès, comme le succès n'arrive pas toujours seul, cette rareté de cas entraîne aussi d'autres défis qui n'étaient pas là avant. La participation communautaire devient de plus en plus diminue parce qu'il y a cette rareté de cas et la maladie du sommeil n'est plus perçue dans la population comme un problème, ce qui fait que dans les activités de masse, il faut beaucoup d'efforts pour faire participer la population. C'est un grand défi. Le deuxième, c'est la rareté de cas fait que les équipes doivent parcourir de très longues distances pour aller fouiller dans les zones ou qui sont très reculés pour trouver le dernier cas. Et enfin, cette diminution de cas risque d'amener aussi à la diminution des ressources, parce que c'est toujours la question de l'efficience qui se pose, coût-efficacité. Or, c'est à ce moment ici où on a trop peu de cas qu'on a besoin de plus d'efforts et plus de ressources pour retrouver des cas. Mais les partenaires d'appui auront tendance à diminuer les ressources. J'ai dit et je vous remercie.
Yeah. Okay, we are at the end of this session. And what we can do now, before the dignitaries arrive, we should be discussing our presentations from yesterday to this morning. So I'll hand over this mic to our chairman to take lead for the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, moderator. Mine is just to kick the discussion and request that you continue as the moderator. We have learned a lot. Yesterday we had the statements from organizations and partners. Then we had the keynote speech that set the scene. And then we have had presentations from a range of member countries in relation to the current status of the disease in livestock and in humans, and the efforts being made to control them, and the Sesefly vector. We have also had challenges that have been enumerated, and also opportunities. So it is now your chance to make your voice heard, express your sentiments. If you have seen areas that you need more clarity, please, when you take the floor, indicate your name, the question you're asking, and to who you are asking that question, so that they can be ready to respond to those questions. And if it is statements, make the statements short. We are given the floor. We don't want you to make another presentation. We want you to either make a very short statement or ask a question. And then we can see whether in the next 20 to 30 minutes we shall have addressed all the issues. So I would suggest, moderator, that we get 3 or 4 questions and then we have responses. The first comment or guidance is from the director of AU-IBA.
Thank you so much. It's just a comment. I was looking at the presenters since yesterday and today. There is no single woman presenting, which is so like, I don't know, is it from our committee considering the papers presenting? Because I'm coming from Sudan. The first teacher and professor for trypanosomiasis in Sudan, she is Prof. Khitma Malik, and she worked a lot with, I think, many of you here in Kenya. And we have from Kenya the former CEO for Kentic. She's also a woman. And I couldn't recognize one single lady presenting on trypanosomiasis for human or animal side. I think we need to consider that and to see what's the problem. Gender equality and balance is very important. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DJ. I think this is a very important remark. But honestly speaking, if you talk of cessation control, most often it has to do with,
I am a vet doctor, and we are working like men in camps and everywhere. So women in Africa are not less.
Okay, thank you very much. Let the
Moderator, I want to come to your salvation. That is very slippery ground. And I agree with the director that there is something happening that we don't know. Maybe the younger generation. I have had the pleasure of working with Dr. Kitma for many years, the former Patek Kenya director, sitting here with us, is a lady. So this is something that needs to be noted. Countries, you are the ones being challenged because we have been listening to the country presentations. I know the international organizations and our partners, in the next presentations, we are going to see ladies making presentations. So the question is, we, the endemic countries, what is it we are not doing? And what is it we need to do to ensure that we also see gender balance when we come to these presentations? Thank you for your comment.
I hope this could have just been a coincidence, and I don't think it will happen next time we are here. So I call on a lady to make a comment.
Thank you. I also want to add to this point. So we at the IEA, we facilitate meetings and trainings and fellowships. And I also see many participants that are coming to these trainings and fellowships only being men. Not a lot of girls are coming. And I would like to suggest that when we do capacity building of especially young people, we do consider the ladies in this group as well. So please facilitate the training of women from the bottom up, so that we do have upcoming researchers that are women that can be in this field. And I also want to add that me, coming from South Africa, being very active in fieldwork, is an indication that women can definitely do TESI research and applications as well. Thank you.
Point well noted. Thank you very much. Any other lady? Okay. Can we have a microphone over there, or you can? Yeah, it's on your table. They can use the one on the table. Yes. Next. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the nice moderating. Just to bob up in the technical issue. Yesterday presentation is most probably they are talking about budgetary of trypanosomiasis control, and when the budget is become low or it's cut, the reinvestation is again starting. So this is we are losing a lot of money, and now we are still asking for money to control. So could we think to another way, because budget cut, reinvestation come. So let us think to another approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Can I invite a lady over there? I saw a hand up. Yes. Your question. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Sarah Nansubuga from Uganda, and mine is just a thanking regard to DNDI had platform that made it possible for me to participate. I'm a researcher, and I did my research on trypanosome infection rates in Glossina, that is in Nakasongola district, central Uganda. So if it was not for them, I wouldn't have been able to join this platform, this conference. Thank you so much at fombo@dndi.org, the HART platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Any other hand? Yes. Thank you very much.
Merci, moi c'est Hélène Maïzi. Je suis de la RDC, d'INTI. J'ai bien suivi les présentations. Ma préoccupation, je voulais avoir un peu d'éclaircissement par rapport à l'intervention de Ouganda, qui a déjà une expérience sur l'élimination. Comment ils arrivent à contrôler ces échanges interfrontaliers, parce que l'Ouganda fait frontière avec la RDC et nous avons suivi la présentation de la RDC où il y a quand même des cas qui sont encore là et je vais avoir un peu de précision sur la stratégie que l'Ouganda utilise. Merci.
Thank you very much. And I want to remark that take note, whoever, if a question is given and you see it concerns you, like the previous one, WHO, take note and then you will come and give a response to that. Thank you very much. Any other hand? Let's see. Yeah, Dr. Caballo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and moderator. Yesterday, a point was made about the need to exercise caution when celebrating about the reduction or the elimination of HAT to discourage further involvement especially in tsetse control. And I've seen it. It's nice to hear this good news of reduction and progress and so on. But while we still have all these national parks surrounding us and so on, I don't know really whether there can be elimination or whether we shouldn't celebrate too early. In any case, we should guard against discouraging further interest. And I hope this finds its way in the recommendations. One small point about mangrove, or maybe a question to the gentleman, the presenter from Guinea. Something I've always wondered about, this mangrove is an expanse of waterlogged areas of really forest. And there is really no ground, it's water most of the time. And I just wonder how tsetse flies deposit pupae and in the water and then and so on. And it's a point we were discussing with John Hargrove yesterday. We wonder how that population is maintained if there is no ground below the canopy of the mangrove, because it's such an expanse of land and just water below. Maybe someone can tell us how where the people go and where they emerge from and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caballo. I think it's a very strong point I mentioned yesterday. We have to be careful in our declaration of elimination. When we still have forest reserves, we have the vector, but we keep talking of elimination without looking at the reinfestations and what and what not. Next question, yes. We will take two more and then we will hold on for responses. Otherwise, we lose track of the questions and response. Yes, you.
Yes. My name is Professor Kiurani of University of Nairobi. This is to Dr. Onyango, Seth Onyango. When you presented the prevalence data for TRIPS infestation, could you please indicate which tests were used? Did you use microscopy? Did you use PCR? What did you use? And then the emphasis in your presentation was more on TETC eradication. Do you have any data as far as chemotherapy, especially in animal trypanosomiasis?
Thank you very much. Take notes. Yes, Dr. Soumaila.
Ok, en français, mais c'est juste un commentaire qui est très important par rapport à ce que le général Caballo disait hier. Vous savez, dans la lutte intégrée contre les tsetse, dans un premier temps, on fait la réduction et en dernière partie, il faut faire l'éradication par les lacets de mâles stériles. Certains pays ici sont des exemples. Tchad, Ghana, je dis le Sénégal, c'est des pays d'exemple qui ont déjà fait la réduction, même le Burkina, et qui nécessitaient donc le lâcher de mâles stériles pour éradiquer. Et vous savez, cette phase d'éradication, si nous ne les prenons pas au sérieux, C'est vrai qu'il y a 2 insectariums régionaux, je veux dire, qui ont été construits, régionaux, qui ont été construits, mais qui ont certainement des difficultés de fonctionnement. Ils sont construits au niveau régional, mais leur fonctionnement n'est pas soutenu au niveau régional. Alors que vous savez, si les différents pays ne sont pas dans les besoins, les différents insectariums sont dans l'obligation de continuer à fonctionner jusqu'à ce que les différents programmes soient dans les besoins. Et ce fonctionnement continu a besoin aussi d'un appui continu au niveau sous-régional, mais ne doit pas relever d'un pays forcément qui abrite l'insectarium. Si vous prenez le Burkina, il abrite l'insectarium, c'est un mandat ou donc une obligation pour nous donc de produire pour les pays, mais son fonctionnement doit être appuyé au niveau sous-régional. Je dis, les besoins sont sous-régional et son fonctionnement aussi doit être soutenu au niveau sous-régional. Merci bien.
Thank you very much for the question. Now we take one last one from here. Yes, behind there, yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Ali Hassan from Kentek. The question I want to ask is about this West African country where they were using technology, at least the drones. I saw the drones being used in spreading or, the sterile males. What is the cost implication of that? And is it something which can be replicated in other countries? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this stage, we will take responses from the batch of questions that were thrown out. And the first question from IEA. Oh, that was a comment, okay. How long should monitoring continue? How long should monitoring, okay, you will give a response to that. Let's have a microphone is there? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So it's a very good question, of course. We have to understand that we are advancing in stages in the elimination. And the first stage is eliminating the disease as a public health problem, and there are indicators for that, which doesn't mean that the disease is gone totally from a country. There is still maybe some cases, but a low number of cases. So every time this process is undertaken for a country, all the data is put there in a dossier, it is analyzed formally, and there is a commitment asked for that country to continue surveillance for at least the 5 years to follow the elimination. But that means it's not 5 years and then we stop. It means at least you have to have a clear plan for 5 years of surveillance. The second stage is going to be the elimination of transmission, which means having 0 cases in a country. A similar process is going to take place and is already being established. We are about to publish a document on that, on what are the rules, etc. It will be the same story. You can demonstrate you have 0 cases during the last 5 years at least. Still, the country will have to commit to continue surveillance for 5 more years. So we are advancing in stages. But this is not either the end, because if the question is, for how long are we continuing the surveillance? I think the answer is, for as long as there is potential for re-emergence or reintroduction from, for example, a neighboring country. For as long as that potential is there, we will have to keep the surveillance up, even if we have declared elimination of public health problem or elimination 0 cases. We will have to continue.
Thank you very much. And I think that covers the comment on moderation. We should be very moderate in our celebrations of the success stories, because we still have the reinfestation pressures. So that should be a good response to that. Now, the next question, how are Sese sustained in mangrove areas? Any response to that? That was from Guinea. How are Sese flies sustained in mangrove areas? Any response to that? Otherwise, we take another batch of questions.
Oui, est-ce que, je ne sais pas trop, quand on parle, je suis Kamara Mamadou, je suis le responsable de la lutte contre la trypanosomiase humaine africaine et les maladies tropicales en Guinée. Je ne sais pas trop, la question, elle porte sur quoi? C'est comment les glossines se reproduisent en mangrove, ou bien qu'est-ce qu'il faut pour aller vers vraiment l'élimination de ces CC dans la mangrove? Comment, la question se pose comment, s'il vous plaît? Si c'est pour comprendre l'écologie des CC dans la mangrove, ça c'est une question.
Question we should be looking for response is a method of diagnosis for animal trips in Kenya. That was.
Oh, I understood that Dr. Kamara, you wanted the question to be repeated.
Yes,
clearly. So the question by Dr. Kabayo is that in Guinea and in Central and West African countries, in the mangrove areas, you are reporting SESE, but in mangrove areas, the water levels are normally quite high. How do the sassaflies breed in the mangrove areas? What sustains the sassaflies in the mangrove areas? Yet there is also water.
Voilà. Ok, parfait. Je pense qu'il faut situer le contexte et se dire que d'abord, qu'est-ce que c'est que la mangrove? La mangrove, c'est un biotope qui est spécifique et où avant, on n'avait pas vraiment ce problème. Mais avec la pression humaine, les hommes qui sont venus vraiment se mettre dans la mangrove, et il y a eu une pression humaine très importante, c'est ce qui a créé le développement du contact homme-glossine dans ce biotope-là. Ils se reproduisent pratiquement, nous n'avons pas encore tous les dédales, toutes les compréhensions par rapport à cela, mais il y a une forte, disons, population de glossines dans cette mangrove-là qui viennent chasser, qui viennent vraiment prendre, n'est-ce pas, se nourrir dans cette zone-là. Et ainsi, nous avons développé effectivement des stratégies pour mieux comprendre vraiment le développement des glossines et l'importance du contact homme-glossine dans ces zones-là. Et c'est ainsi que nous avons effectivement mis en place les écrans et aussi les pièges flottants pour vraiment la capture de ces glossines dans la mangrove. Mais il y a des zones immergées, submergées, où les glossines vont pondre. C'est-à-dire qu'ils prennent leur repas de sang sur les hommes, sur d'autres animaux qu'ils peuvent rencontrer dans la mangrove, et ils pondent effectivement sur les zones immergées. C'est-à-dire les îlots qui sont dans la mangrove. Il y a beaucoup d'îlots dans la mangrove où les glossines vont pondre. Et ils trouvent la nourriture sur place, et voilà comment ils se développent. Notre objectif, ce n'est pas d'éradiquer les mouches CC dans la mangrove, mais nous, notre objectif, c'est de limiter le contact homme-glossine dans ces biotopes. Voilà un peu.
Let's take an additional response.
Quand la marée monte, effectivement, je l'ai dit, il y a des zones submergées. L'importance ici, c'est que les glossines suivent les hommes dans les chaînons de mangrove. Et c'est là-bas qu'ils viennent prendre leur repas de sang et retournent effectivement sur ces îlots-là pour vraiment digérer et pondre.
Thank you very much. Just to add more to that, Dr. Kabayo, within the mangroves, there are areas where, much as there is humidity, you do not have water. It may look like it is all water, but there are areas where sassaflies can breed quite comfortably and people can live without the problem of water.
Thank you very much. At this stage, if we
I wanted to add to it. Hello, sir.
Okay, method of diagnosis in Kenya. Any response to that? in the Kenyan presentation, it was mentioned that the diagnosis in animals are. Anybody from Kentucky who can answer this, the methods of diagnosis used? Okay, yes, the hand is up there.
Thank you. My name is Agnes Otwani. I work in Western Kenya, and I would stand in for my CEO. I can't, maybe he has stepped out a little bit. Yeah, on the question of the method used for AAT screening, I guess. Yeah, what we use mostly in Kentech for the epidemiological surveys usually is a microscopy. The Buffy-Coat technique is what is employed most of the time. But in some situations where we want to confirm something, we could employ PCR. But usually in surveillance, it's microscopy, the Buffy-Coat technique. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have we addressed all the questions? So let's call for the second round of questions from the...
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Okay. Okay, yes, sorry. You come up, yeah. WHO, yes.
Me?
Sorry, somebody holds the microphone there. The next one will be WHO.
Ok, merci Monsieur le Président. Bonjour à tout le monde. Merci Monsieur le modérateur. Je suis Darnas. Je viens du Tchad et suis du ministère de la Santé publique et de la Prévention. Et je travaille au Programme national de lutte contre la trypanosomiase humaine africaine. Je tiens d'abord à féliciter tous les pays et les différentes institutions pour leur brillante présentation. Et j'ai une question. Ma question est axée sur les essais cliniques et ça va à l'endroit des DNDi.
Okay, thanks for the question. Next question, WHO, sorry.
Thank you very much. This is maybe just to do a comment in the same line as my colleague, Dr. Priotto. Here is Dr. Franco, also from WHO. Maybe it's a technical clarification, but we are in a technical meeting, and I would like to clarify this. In WHO, it's different when we are talking about elimination and about eradication. Eradication for WHO is when a pathogen has disappeared in nature. It's not there anymore, like the case of smallpox. For sleeping sickness, we'll never be able to see it's not in the nature. We never know if it's still in an animal reservoir. There are still some reservoirs there. So it's for that we talk just about elimination. It means we have always the risk of reemergence or the resurgence. So we have always to keep this to keep this surveillance system to be able to detect this possible reemergence of the disease. Of course, the question is to do not a heavy surveillance system, but an integrated surveillance system in the health system, in the primary health care. That's one point I wanted to raise. And secondly, related to this, I think when we are talking about validating elimination as public health problem, it's a result of important efforts during years in a country to reach this threshold that is well defined. I think it's a good moment to say, well, we have reached this point. It's an important point to be relatively moderate in our celebrations, but I think we have to use in the other side. It's an opportunity to raise awareness. And the important thing for me is to pass a clear message. To say we have reached elimination as public health problem is not to say we have finished the problem. And this message we have to pass very clear is still we have to finish the work. but we have reached an important point. And then we have to take this an opportunity. WHO, I think we have to take it as an opportunity. We have reached this in human disease. It's not the final point. We have still to continue activities, but it also can be used by animal trypanosomiasis to say, they are there, we can go there, and we can accompany, and we have to go together. We are still not reaching this point, but we need to reach also this point, and to use this to raise awareness. So to change maybe a challenge into an opportunity. So that's, maybe we can discuss more, but that's, I wanted to raise this point. And then just a final small detail. I don't know if Mr. Nkangala is around, but yesterday when he talked about the number of cases in Malawi, he talked about 2,800 cases of human African trypanosomiasis. He gave a reference. I think it's a mistake there. It was something wrong. If you go to the reference he was even given, it's talking about 315 cases during, I think it's 8 or 10 years. Maybe it was a mistake there, but we are not having 2,800 cases in Malawi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these corrections. Now, let's have another question. Am I here? Okay, you give us your question. Yeah.
Merci. Patonga Nzobo, République démocratique du Congo. Je m'adresse à la Guinée. Ils ont présenté quelque chose qui était très intéressant. Dans un contexte d'insécurité sanitaire avec Ebola et avec Covid, ils ont adapté des stratégies. Mais ce qui a attiré mon attention, c'est qu'ils ont réalisé des dépistages porte à porte à pied. Alors, je voulais savoir comment s'était passé concrètement ce dépistage porte à porte à pied. Est-ce que c'était dans les régions rurales, dans des zones rurales ou dans des zones urbaines? C'était en dépistage avec les examens de dépistage, TDR et 4 éventuellement, ou c'était aussi avec les examens de confirmation diagnostique. L'équipe était organisée comment? C'est important parce que c'est une stratégie innovatrice qui peut permettre de voir dans le contexte, nous, de l'insécurité, même de l'insécurité sanitaire que nous subissons aussi, voir comment est-ce que ça peut s'adapter. Merci.
Thank you very much. Yeah, give it behind you. Yeah.
Ok, merci beaucoup pour la parole. Moi, c'est Julienne Chowa, je viens de la RDC. Alors, ma question, je ne sais pas, ça concerne pratiquement tous les présentateurs d'hier. Nous sommes sur la route vers l'élimination et quand j'ai suivi les présentations, la plupart n'ont parlé que de la lutte antivectorielle. Alors, je me demande, est-ce qu'il n'y a que celle-là comme stratégie pour arriver à l'élimination de la trypanosomiase? Bon, la plupart, elle était animale. Ou il y a d'autres, est-ce qu'ils peuvent partager avec nous les autres stratégies, juste pour qu'on puisse savoir ce qui se fait pour qu'on arrive à l'élimination? Merci.
Thank you very much. Are you noting the questions? Yes. Now we get to this section. Yeah.
Ok. Je suis Alain Foukinsia, je viens de la RDC. Comme il a été présenté ici, nous sommes en pré-élimination et en cette période, nous avons besoin de beaucoup de réadaptation des approches de lutte. Je m'adresse aux amis de l'Ouganda. Je voudrais avoir des leçons tirées par rapport au réajustement de l'algorithme diagnostique, connaissant qu'en cette période, nous avons souvent beaucoup de baisses de validité des tests. Est-ce qu'ils ont un modèle mathématique qui puisse faciliter à notre pays aussi d'évoluer vers la certification de l'élimination?
Okay, one more question from there and we have discussions.
Bonjour, Dr Moyolo, RDC. J'ai une question à poser à l'Union africaine. Quelle est la politique de l'Union africaine par rapport à la recherche et traitement sur la trypanosomiase humaine africaine?
Okay, African Union will be taking note of that. Now, let's come to discussion of the questions. Any response to the first one? About treatment and clinical signs of the disease, yeah? Okay, DNDI.
Ok, merci beaucoup. On a posé la question par notre ami du Tchad, les critères de choix d'un site de recherche clinique, n'est-ce pas? Je pense que c'était ça la question. Alors, en fait, effectivement, on ne choisit pas la location d'un site de recherche clinique d'une manière aléatoire. Il y a des études de faisabilité qui doivent être faites. Et dans cette faisabilité, il y a, par exemple, les données épidémiologiques doivent rassurer qu'on aura, n'est-ce pas, les patients ou les sujets de l'étude. Il y a la logistique, hein, l'accessibilité. Il y a beaucoup d'autres critères, n'est-ce pas? On ne peut pas aller installer un site de recherche clinique dans un endroit inaccessible où les routes ne sont pas praticables. Tu vois, il faut que les équipes, les moniteurs, la logistique, l'approvisionnement, etc., que ça soit un endroit accessible. Voilà un peu, il y a des collègues qui sont ici, des opérations cliniques qui peuvent me compléter. Je ne sais pas si vous êtes satisfait avec la réponse, cher ami. Merci.
Thank you very much. Any addition to what he said? Okay, there's a hand up there. For the addition to what he just gave us. Yeah, the mic is behind you.
Ok, justement, comme le directeur Régent a dit, il y a d'abord les données épidémiologiques. Donc, pour faire un essai clinique, il faut qu'on soit sûr qu'il y a des malades. Donc, on regarde les données épidémiologiques. Ça, c'est très important, c'est la première chose. Mais après, la deuxième chose, c'est le staff au niveau des sites. Il faut qu'il y ait du personnel qui peut faire un essai clinique, notamment qu'il y ait des médecins, qu'il y ait des techniciens laboratoires, qu'il y ait des infirmiers, et qui aient un background ou qui peuvent être formés à d'autres procédures de l'essai clinique. Après, troisièmement, il y a les centres de santé, donc les health facilities, comme on dit, qui doivent être là. Bon, on sait que dans ces milieux-là, ils sont souvent dans un état pas bon, mais ils doivent exister. Après, il y a l'accessibilité, ça c'est très important, parce que dans un essai clinique, il y a beaucoup d'intervenants, beaucoup de stakeholders, des moniteurs, enfin, il peut y avoir des audits, il peut y avoir, donc ça doit être, c'est vrai que la maladie du sommeil, c'est une maladie de bout de piste, mais ça doit être un endroit où un véhicule 4x4 peut arriver, ou un avion peut arriver, ou un bateau peut arriver. Après, bon, il y a d'autres conditions secondaires telles que l'accès à l'Internet, tels que l'eau, l'électricité. C'est des éléments qu'on peut apporter, mais qui sont aussi importants. Et après, il y a aussi les conditions. Comme on a dit, dans un essai clinique, il y a beaucoup d'intervenants. Quand des gens viennent, ils doivent loger quelque part. Donc, tous ces éléments entrent en compte. Et dans une étude de faisabilité, on tient compte de tous ces éléments pour finalement décider si on le fait ou pas. Après, il y a les autorités éthiques et les autorités réglementaires, puisque bon, ça doit être encadré par tout ça. Bref, c'est tout ça mis ensemble qui fait qu'on va faire l'essai clinique. Et aussi, naturellement, la sécurité, puisque nous sommes des fois dans des foyers qui sont instables. C'est des éléments qui entrent en jeu. Merci.
Thank you for the addition. Yeah. Okay. Then the next question was conducting door-to-door screening. In what mode will this take place? In Guinea? That was in Guinea. Any response to that? There's a lady hand up there. We give preference to our ladies.
Merci, bonjour. Moi, c'est Oumou Kamara. Je suis au programme national de lutte contre la MTN à PCC et de l'unité THA. Je suis le responsable du diagnostic. Au fait, comment nous organisons les porte-à-porte dans les villages? D'abord, il y a une sélection des villages qui est effectuée auparavant. Et ensuite, une fois que les villages sont sélectionnés, effectivement, c'est en zone rurale, ce n'est pas en zone urbaine. C'est dans les villages et dans les foyers actifs où il y a des cas. Et pour les porte-à-porte, comment l'équipe s'organise? Il y a d'abord l'équipe centrale. Au fait, la grande équipe, l'équipe de confirmation. Et maintenant, nous utilisons les agents de santé des villages qui sont sélectionnés. C'est ces agents qui vont vers la population, puisqu'ils sont en contact avec la population. C'est ces agents qu'on sélectionne. Et quand ces agents sont sélectionnés, il y a une mise à niveau par rapport à l'utilisation des TDR qui se fait avant d'être sur le terrain. Et une fois dans les villages, les équipes sont réparties comme suit. Il y a 2 agents de santé et un agent communautaire du village qui accompagnent les équipes de maison en maison en réalisant les TDR. Et il y a une équipe mère qui est là basée pour la confirmation. Une fois qu'un cas est suspecté dans une localité ou dans un village, il est référé vers l'équipe mère qui est basée aux alentours d'un village qui est un peu proche de presque tous les villages, qui est basé là pour la confirmation parasitologique. Je ne sais pas si j'ai répondu à la question.
Oui, je voudrais tout juste compléter, comme il a dit que les hommes marchent à pied. En fait, c'est quoi? Nous positionnons effectivement nos équipes dans les villages. Et dans les villages, là, maintenant, c'est là où ils tournent. Ils visitent les familles. Mais il y a des véhicules que nous avons là qui transportent effectivement le gros lot du centre vers ces villages-là. Maintenant, une fois qu'ils sont dans les villages, c'est là où ils font le porte-à-porte en marchant à pied. Voilà un peu. Maintenant, il y a la logistique qui est là, il y a des véhicules qui transportent du centre vers les villages. Et nous avons un centre, n'est-ce pas, de confirmation où les véhicules roulent pour aller prendre les cas suspectés, les amener pour la confirmation. Maintenant, l'essentiel, c'est dans les villages. Dans les villages, tu n'as pas besoin de moto pour tourner. Il faut aller de porte à porte, de famille en famille, et là, ça se fait à pied.
Thanks for that clarification. Now, the chairman will give a response to the next question.
In the interest of time, and because I think I understand the question by the person from DRC with regards to the strategies for elimination, you said that most of the presentations have been focusing on vector control as one of the approaches for elimination. Indeed, that is not the case. Vector control is only one of the technologies or the approaches that are used for elimination. For the human disease, the most important one is surveillance, looking for individuals who could be infected or who could be carriers for the disease, and the other approaches. So vector control is only one of them.
Thank you for that clarification. Do we go for another round of questions?
Chair.
Okay, sorry. There was a question on mathematical modeling.
Yes, and...
any response to that?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. The hand is there, yes.
Yes, there are actually 2 questions that was directed to Uganda, and we did not answer them. One is on the situation in Uganda and in relation to DRC. We have not been closely collaborating with DRC. Probably this could be an opportunity for us moving forward, how best we can get to understand the situation in DRC vis-a-vis Uganda. And then the second question regarding modeling. I am not a modeling expert, and I know we have some modelers here in the experts here. I would therefore request one of them to respond to that question on our behalf. I thank you.
There's a hand up there. I think there's a hand. Yes, you want to respond to that question? Okay, please. Do. On mathematical modeling.
Hello, my name is Kat Rock. I'm based at the University of Warwick in the UK. and I lead a mathematical modelling project, which you will hear some more presentations about later this afternoon. If I understood the question well on mathematical modelling, it was a question about using modelling to help validate elimination. And so my response to this is I think mathematical modelling is an extremely useful tool to help us understand more about the data that are being collected. We know for sleeping sickness, there is a large connection between the case reporting and how much screening and other surveillance activities are being done. And so when we see cases go up, it can be hard to understand if the program is doing well and successfully finding remaining cases, or if there might be an increase in transmission. Now, modelling can help us understand what might be happening with the new infections and what might be happening with underlying transmission. But I also, modelling alone is not going to be sufficient for claiming validation. Of course, each country needs to follow the guidelines set out by the World Health Organization, but I think it can be a very useful tool to understand if countries are on track. And I encourage anybody to speak to me or the other modelers here in my team if they're interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that explanation. Yes, now we go to, is it an addition to this mathematical modeling? Okay, otherwise we're looking for a response from African Union with regards to the policy. African Union, any response to the question on policy? Okay.
Hello. Hello, sir. I have a question here. Since. Yes.
Okay. Let's get a response from African Union.
Yes, it's a response.
Moderator.
So the question from one of the participants was the policy of the African Union with regards to research and treatment of African trypanosomiasis, human African trypanosomiasis.
I think since it's human African trypanosomiasis and we are AUI part, the competent person to reply is the WHO. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's have that response.
If I understood well, is related to research in human African trypanosomiasis. Well, in fact, we try to coordinate as much as possible with African Union. In the past, we had even some memorandum of understanding, and we have a frame that is the PAT, the Program Against African Trypanosomiasis, that we put together the efforts of different UN agencies plus African Union. Mainly, we are focusing in the control more than in research. Of course, research has to be joined to the control, but WHO is focusing more in the control. We have a body in WHO that is TDR, that this TDR is more related to research. That's true. And there are also other organizations like the platform, the HIT platform, or the institutions more related to the research. What is the role we have taken in this? We try to coordinate the different partners, we try to coordinate research with control, but we are not really focused in research. What we want is to give, to identify what are the research gaps and try to bring the researchers to do this, to focus the research in these points, and later to coordinate and try to bring the results of the research to the control. So we are not focusing research, but we have to try to coordinate as much as possible research with control. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you very much. Let's take a contribution from...
Hello.
Yes, you can give us a contribution.
I would like to complement this response
If you read the EU-AU work program for 2023 until 2030, it is clearly stated that the AU wants to support innovations in health, research, wants to bring technology into Africa, and wants to stimulate researchers and collaborations in Africa for infectious diseases. So I think we can say that human African trypanosomiasis falls under infectious diseases. So there is an active program ongoing.
Thank you very much for that explanation. At this stage,
hello.
Yes, any hand up? Yes, Dr.
Thank you very much. I have some contributions, but before those contributions, there is one key point that I think it's more or less like a question that I think I strongly believe that we should note here, maybe as part of the take-home of the rapporteur. In the country reports, at least about 4 of them that were reported, there were cases of insecurity or security challenges. And recently, we can see that they've been toppling some government and so on and so forth, and we need political will to help to be able to penetrate when there are cases of this type of insecurity, like a strong policy that AUC, AUIBA, World Health Organization, they can use such that this process of elimination and eradication of AT can actually take place. That's the question. Now, my contribution has been definition of terms is very, very important in dealing with things like this. I want to believe that part of what the rapporteur also can take with this is the question of the difference between elimination and eradication, which, like a colleague mentioned, there is a great difference between elimination and eradication, which people have been using interchangeably. The school of pathophysiology, we talk about trypanosomiasis and trypanosomosis. But as veterinary pathophysiologists, we understand rarely when you talk about oocysts, it has to do with maybe degeneration, and asis is just the introduction of that infection. Then finally, just like it has been said, concerning that Glossina in pupae development in swampy area, apart from the fact that there are patches of land, there is also adaptation progress of some transitory habitat of some Glossina fusca from the forest region moving and coming out of the mangrove region. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. We appreciate these contributions, and at this stage, this should be the end of our discussions. In fact, time is far against us, so we will have to put a stop to this session and go for a health break. Thank you very much for your contribution. I'll give it back to the chairman.
So before we break for a health break, we have come to the end of this session, and at the same time, the end of the term of the current moderator and the rapporteur. So I would like you to join me in giving them a very strong round of applause. So thank you very much. The discussions, the presentations have been excellent. The discussions have been very stimulating. The next session, fortunately, follows up on human African trypanosomiasis, and some of the topics that have been discussed or that have been left can also be raised as we go to the next session. We shall take only 30 minutes and allow people to come back here. We shall have the new moderator and rapporteur and the first presentation as we await the opening as we go around. So please let us take 30 minutes break and come back, and I encourage you to continue with the discussions during the health break, identify the presenters, discuss these issues with them as we go along. Thank you very much, and see you in 30 minutes. And as you're going for the health break, somebody has misplaced a laptop monitor. If it is yours, please come for it.